Just in, and this is the creepiest thing I've read in a long time, a very authoritarian, seems like regime is coming in. Biden allied groups, including the DNC, plan to engage fact checkers and work with SMS carriers, so T-Mobile, Verizon, all the SMS carriers, to dispel misinformation about vaccines that is sent over social media and text messages. We're not allowed to have opinions anymore about anything, not even over text message. They want to control the narrative. The establishment wants to just weed out all the dissidents and all the people that have different opinions than the establishment. Oh boy, that's crazy. I never thought I would see this in the U.S. How authoritarian the U.S. has become since COVID started. But that was always their plan. They were never gonna let a good crisis go to waste. But this dumbass Pinocchio and Queen Circleback doesn't know her ass from her head. Had this to say about systemic racism, a key tenet of critical race theory and NEA's support of critical race theory in schools. If they told you they weren't teaching critical race theory in schools, they kind of lied to you and you kind of got played if you believed it.
Second question, delegates of the National Education Association, they approved a measure last week calling for support of, quote, the implementation of culturally responsive education, critical race theory, and ethnic studies curriculum in pre-K through 12 and higher education. The President is obviously a big fan of education. First Lady is a teacher. She's a union teacher. I'm wondering, what are the President's thoughts on anti-racism curriculum in the classroom?
Well, the President believes that in our history, there are many dark moments, and there is not just slavery and racism in our history, there is systemic racism that is still impacting society today. And he believes, as I believe, as a parent of children, that kids should learn about our history. So as the spouse of an educator and as somebody who continues to believe that children should learn not just the good, but also the challenging in our history. And that's part of what we're talking about here, even as it's become politically charged.
Second question, delegates of the...
She means fake history. She means fake history. That's what critical race theory is. Fake history. It's like the 1619 Project that was proven to be false. Proven to be false. It's a work of fiction. It's the White House endorsing critical race theory in your schools. Homeschool your kids. Homeschool your kids. Also, what's hilarious, CNN reporter blames Trump for Cuba's protests, not the communist regime. No, it's never about the communists. It's always about Donald Trump. The world could go into World War III, and Trump could not be in office for 10 years. World War III in 10 years. And they'd be like, oh, it was Trump's fault 12 years ago. It was Trump's fault. They will never take any responsibility ever. This regime, and I call them regime, they're getting very authoritarian with locking down and wanting to impose more lockdowns and censor speech and lie about everything and change history. But it's funny, they try to change history and some dipshits are going to believe it. It's astonishing to me how little the attention span the regular American has and how they cannot spot BS. Like this Pinocchio circleback dipshit saying defund the police was a Republican idea. Like, what? We still have AOC claiming the police are evil and need to be defunded, like today.
And on Cuba, in this White House statement today, you note the, quote, tragic grip of the pandemic, but under current U.S. sanctions that were put in place by the last administration, but have not been changed by this administration, Cuban exiles cannot send remittances to their family that lives in Cuba. So why is the Biden administration continuing that policy?
Well, I would say, again, even under the embargo, there are a number of exemptions, I should say, humanitarian assistance, medical supplies, that we've continued to provide assistance to the people of Cuba, even with that in place. But I have nothing to preview for you in terms of a change of policy.
But even though the president said he was going to reverse the policy, you can't say when he plans to reverse the policy?
Again, these protests happened yesterday, I think, or over the last 2 days.
But he made the promise in September.
I certainly understand, Caitlin, but there's nothing I can preview for you. But to be accurate, there are exemptions that we can send medical supplies. We can send humanitarian supplies. That's something we've been doing for some time from the...
If you didn't catch it, she was blaming Trump's policies embargoes for them protesting, just like the New York Times said yesterday or lamestream media, the liars and state-run media, basically saying they're protesting basically because they want more COVID stuff. It's the same thing. These people are evil, man. They'll lie to save face. They will say whatever it takes for the dumb sheeple, the majority of people that don't pay attention, to believe. They'll go on the TV, they'll look at the TV for 5 minutes and believe, yeah, that's true. They'll go on Twitter for like 2 seconds and believe, yeah, that's true. Even though most of those institutions are left-leaning and left-biased. But they'll get their news from that. And that's why people keep voting in Democrats in specific places. Chicago, California. These are your people. These are your Texas Democrats. Texas Democratic lawmakers are leaving state to break quorum to stop Republican voting bill. Veteran Capitol observers say this is uncharted territory. Photo from Democrats on the plane. Rules for thee, not for me. I guess we don't have to wear masks on plane. Oh wait, no, you do because you're a pleb. To these people, you're a pleb. Do as I say, not as I do. Democrats' motto. But this is how they frame it. How the biases of New York Times. And I like pointing this out so regular people will be like, wow, yeah, New York Times does frame stuff in a liberal bias. Texas Democrats plan to flee state to highlight GOP's voting restriction. I love that they say voting restriction, even though they're repelling COVID-issued voting in. So what that means is they did specific things for COVID and only COVID. And GOP wants to rescind that so it's not as easy to, rig the system. I'm not saying the election was rigged, YouTube. Calm down. It's easier to cast ballots fraudulently. So you can put Mickey Mouse on a ballot, vote Democrat, and, there you go. But again, I'm not allowed to criticize or have an opinion about the election because of the communist regime of Twitter and YouTube. This is how they frame it. Oregon Republicans disappear for another climate vote after leaving the state last year to shut down a climate change proposal. Oregon senators were absent again on Monday. Ooh. Oregon climate walkouts left Republicans in hiding, state house in disarray. Wow, how do you frame that for a specific crowd of people? That's hilarious. And I wanted to point this out because the lack of self-awareness from Brian Stelter is on another level. It's on another level I didn't think was fucking possible, but it is. Brian Stelter tweets, restricting internet access has become a tried and true method of stifling dissident by authoritarian regimes around the world alongside government-supported disinformation campaigns and propaganda. Wow, Brian, you said he said the quiet part out loud. Brian Stelter, the greatest gift Biden ever received was Trump getting booted off Twitter. Oh, on a priceless gift. Wow, really? Only took 6 months for you to realize it. Thank you, Brian Stelter, for understanding the overreach of the government right now in the state-run media, CNN. Reliable sources. That's what he calls his show. Reliable sources. Reliable to nothing. But that's going to be the video, guys. Let me know in the comment section below what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.